Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And today, every morning our staff gets together and we have a powwow about what's the day look like, what do we want to accomplish. We basically prepare ourselves. And this morning was kind of interesting, and so I'm bringing Betty in because I want to talk just a little bit about the concept of what do we do as these mandates are lifted. And so right now we've got Texas and 16 other states that there are no mandates, no mask, fully open. And there are some people, very few, very minority, that are very afraid still wearing masks, still doing things. But let's look at this maybe in a little bit different light. And so Betty, you shared something. Can you lead me in there?
Absolutely, Dr. Munson. I'm Betty. And I was listening to social media yesterday and heard something that was a bit of a fresh take on the mask mandate. And in regards to your immune system, is it something that keeps you from getting sick, or in this case, the mandate is specifically to keep us from getting COVID? And this gal that was talking mentioned that she had breast cancer. And when she had breast cancer, she was on a number of different chemotherapies, and chemotherapy does lower your immune system to the point where when you're on certain chemotherapies, you actually are not supposed to leave your house. You're not supposed to go, if you're a student, you're not supposed to go to school. You're supposed to take time off from work during that week or weeks of chemotherapy because your immune system is so compromised that you are susceptible to catching viruses. And something that she said that I found very interesting as a 2-time cancer survivor was that she never once expected other people to wear masks around her. Now, this was before 2020 that she had cancer. And she said, when I went to the store, when I did go into work, when my family came over, when my friends came over, never once did I ask them to wear a mask. And as a matter of fact, not once did she wear a mask. And she added, I just don't think it was other people's responsibilities to wear a mask around me. It was up to me to, okay, what am I putting in my body to help keep me strong during chemotherapy? I can eat well or I can eat junk, but
Sure.
Ultimately she said it was up to me to protect myself and not expect the world to change around me.
Sure. And Betty, as you personally, did you expect people to wear a mask around you?
Absolutely not. The first time I had cancer, I was 9, and the second time I was 13. Not once did my mother call Jackson Elementary School and say, hey, principal, you need to mask all 600 students and all 50 teachers so that Betty can be in public school. She didn't call the Everett Mall and say, hey, every single store and everybody in Everett Mall needs to wear a mask so my daughter can go get a new pair of shoes. There was nothing like that. And I come from a huge family, and I was telling you earlier, my brother and his friends, my cousin and her friends, all our aunts, uncles, in and out of the house constantly. No one was expected to wear a mask, and I didn't wear a mask.
Yeah. And you're alive.
It's a miracle.
It really
I will
is.
add, and I have said this before, I did see a chiropractor both times I had cancer during my entire treatment, and we both know that raises the immune system.
Yes, it does. And so, here you've got some people out there. Maybe this podcast has found its way into your ears, and you're wondering, I just don't think I could not wear a mask now. And I want you to kind of listen up very clearly here that most people out there, when a flu comes around or some sickness comes around, about 5% of the population actually gets symptoms, and most are pretty mild. And we got a very small percentage of that 5% that gets really sick. And a really incredibly small percentage of that small percent gets, so sick that they die. And, every year we don't wear a mask. We allow ourselves to get sick like normal. And if we catch it, fine. If we don't, fine. And that's how our body is designed to work. Masks actually will find over time, I know the evidence will inevitably come out that it will make us weaker. That we'll actually get sick more because of it. Because we're used to being exposed to everything in our environment and keeping our immune system nice and strong and well communicated with everything and every part of our environment. And we depend on you out there as to experience your environment and to pass on your genetic material that you have found to us that people technically call viruses. And that's just a way of the body's communicating with each other, much like plants and flowers put off pollen and things like that to communicate with each other about the stressful nature of the environment and what they do to help overcome and become stronger. And so from that standpoint, we look at an immune system and at a very different rate. Even if we have a compromised immune system, like somebody with cancer, they didn't wear a mask. They don't even need to. And so if you're out there thinking, gosh, I just don't think I could not wear a mask. The question is, are you healthy? And if you don't have symptoms, then you're not a carrier. And if you're eating right and thinking clearly and getting enough sleep and taking care of yourself, all of a sudden now you don't have to be the one worried about getting ill. And also, we want to be aware that how long are people contagious? We see these bell curves of the max contagion of somebody who is now sick. And ultimately what we're realizing is that it's about 3 days. And so, okay, the onset of symptoms, you're now contagious. But 3 days later, you're pretty much not contagious. And we've even seen statistics that say that if I am in short distance to somebody who's contagious, and I spend just casual time with them, not long, my chance of getting any kind of COVID are way under 5%. I think it's more like 0.5%, but don't quote me on that yet. But it's a really, really small percentage that we're even going to get even sick. And so I just had a client in today that their mother had COVID and was just horrible. I mean, she was just miserably, miserably sick for 2 to 3 weeks. And I said, you have firsthand experience. Did you get it? She goes, no. And I was constantly at my mom's side and taking care of her and eating with her and all these things. I said, and you didn't even get it. No, but she said she was young, which is true. But ultimately, if you have a strong immune system, you just don't get the symptoms. And Betty, I know that you also had an incident, with your cancer going out. Tell me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the chemos I was on, more than one, the doctors had advised my mother to not put me in public school, to keep me at home. So when I was in 4th grade, and again when I was in 6th grade, I was homeschooled during those months because my immune system was compromised and they didn't really want me out in public around a lot of people. And so after being sequestered at home for a very long time, I had begged my mother, who was going to be going to JCPenney with my uncle, can I just please? And it was later in the evening, like probably at closing time. So I think my mom probably thought, well, hardly anybody's going to be there. We'll go. So here I am, 13 years old. I'm in JCPenney. And I think I'd been in the store maybe 15 minutes and I literally passed out. And luckily my uncle was there and was able to carry me out, but I just couldn't handle it. Whatever it was
too much exertion
in the air. But my mother didn't turn around and sue JCPenney for not wearing masks. It was our choice. I knew what could happen. I didn't know it would play out like that, but sure. I was ready to take the chance because I just wanted to be out in public. But my mom and I, again, it was our responsibility as family, and sure. She just wanted to let me outside into a store after months of being stuck at home, kind of like now.
Sure. And so I guess if you're out there and you're really concerned about your health, you're probably not going to go out in public, unfortunately. But ultimately, your immune system will stay compromised until you start doing that. And the longer you stay out of the public and not breathing air normally, like an individual getting 50,000 microbes in your lungs, and every hour of your entire life, like we do, normally breathing out there in the public and seeing what's out there and staying strong, if you don't do that, you're going to watch yourself get weaker and weaker and weaker until you're just chronically sick. And so I would hope that you would take this message and realize that it doesn't matter what happens to me out there. I'm still responsible for my health, but I'm also the one that has to understand enough of my immune system and how it works to not be so afraid by everybody else that's out there, when before 2020 you went and did everything without a second thought. Please return to that thinking and don't allow 2020 to taint from here forward in your lives, because that is not true. And I think that as things come out, as they already are, we're just seeing more and more truth and more realization that this was about the dumbest thing that we've ever done as an American people, as a global population. So a lot of fear out there still, but again, stay strong, understand, be determined, go live your life. Closing comments, Betty, before we wrap this up.
I'd just like to again agree with what you're saying. Go out there and enjoy your God-given life.
Indeed. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson with Betty on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.